Hello and thank you for joining us on the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. Today on the program, Lagos residents set to vote in local government elections on Saturday. And later on the show, NNPC records 63% FAC remittance shortfall in 5 months. Deficit may hit 820.6 billion naira by the end of the year. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Mayor Akipelu. So if you are ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. Like a double-edged sword, a mixture of excitement and disinterest is growing over Saturday's local government elections in Lagos State. While the All Progressive Congress APC holds the ace, other parties like the People's Democratic Party PDP are locking in the corner to snatch victory in some council areas in case of any slip by the ruling party. But most of the residents of the states, they can't wait to vote on Saturday with 57 chairmanship slots and 376 councillorship seats set for grabs in the polls. So let the contest begin. Gentlemen, actually, local government election for some time now, we've seen a kind of recorded apathy, maybe even at the federal election or national election, so to say. But Lagos State has a potential, according to the Independent National Electoral Commission, of over 7 million registered voters. But when you look at the people that participated in the presidential election, in the governorship election, and not to talk of local government election, are you looking for anything different in terms of turnout?
Well, the turnout will be a lot worse than we have seen, even in recent years. No doubt about it, APC is in charge. One other reason people will not be very excited to go and vote on election day is that the element of surprise is not there. The most predictable election is the local government election. You can tell that in every state, it is the ruling party that dominates. Once you emerge as the candidate of the ruling party in the state, it's done and dusted for you. And we've seen situations in which opposition wins election and the ruling party refuses to let opposition taste victory that they recorded on the battlefield. So we saw it happen in a few states. Apart from Niger State, Nasarawa State some years back, I don't think we've had what you could actually call free and fair local government elections. It's never free and fair in the states. Votes allocation, as we see in the major elections in our country, happens on a bigger scale at local government level. Why politicians are so devious that they believe they must win every local government chairmanship seat, I wish I understand. But that is the fact. In Lagos State, this time around, there will be great apathy because of the disagreements and bad blood that characterize the primaries of the party. I recall appealing to party leaders in Lagos State to address some of the grievances that came with the last primaries. There was nothing like primaries in some places. What we had was a situation in which people brought thugs, knowing full well that they were not going to win the election. They refused to allow the primary election, so the direct primaries to happen. They chased people away because they knew that they were not strong enough to allow real election to take place. And what we saw is a situation in which powerful people were simply forcing their candidates on the generality of the people. You cannot call that an election when, because somebody is high up in government, he says, oh, my brother must be the candidate of the party in so place. And another one says, no, it has to be my own people. To the point that they even want to also bring all of the councillorship, want to fill all of the councillorship positions.
To make sure that the local government is absolutely in their...
Now, what you have is APC's opposition in Lagos is dominated by APC itself.
Yes.
There are local governments now where the YPP is going to field candidates, and the elements promoting these YPP candidates are APC members themselves.
The same thing, Accord Party.
They are bringing out, you are going to see YPP contest in Agege, you are going to see YPP contest in Shomolu. In fact, in Shomolu, YPP candidate could even come second in the election. To tell you the extent to which APC members are trying to make a statement, are trying to use this election to make a statement in places where people have simply resigned to fate that, look, our candidate could not prevail. Not because our candidate was not strong enough, and we do not want to rock the boat. So what they are going to simply do is to stay away from the election. You are going to see that. So to imagine that this is an election that many people will come out for is a long shot. I don't see a large turnout in this election for the reasons that I have given earlier. And there could be surprises. I expect surprises in a few places too, especially the councillorship elections, because that happens almost every local government election year in Lagos. Some angry people
can afford to concede those ones.
I don't even know whether they afford to concede, but I know that councillorship, some people who try to show their strength, go to YPP, go to Accord, and they are going to win there. It's going to happen now. When you say they are going to, when the same people sponsoring them are within the APC. So they believe that once those people win, they can then defect
back to the party.
So now, for someone to disagree with you that normally you expect some of them to go to the PDP, but there are people who have made moves to go to the PDP and discovered that PDP already had candidates. So there's no way for them. They now have to move to YPP to go and contest. But the hope of elements who remain in the APC and are undermining their own party is to see that at the end of the contest, when this person wins, he can then be convinced to defect to the APC so that their aim originally will be realized. Remember, this is the same thing that happened to Abdulmumin Jibrin in Kano. They taught him a lesson. They taught him a lesson, political lesson, you know. And what did they do? The PDP candidate that was used to defeat him was eventually brought back into the APC fold, and he defected to the APC. So this is the thing. It's still, politics is local, and we are going to see in some of the key local governments where we had very acrimonious primaries for the APC. We are going to see a few of those surprises.
I was so shocked today when one of my reporters came in to tell me that there are some local governments, they're still not sure of who is the candidates.
I think it is in a papa. I think they changed.
I said I saw the governor has presented flags and everything. They said that overnight yesterday or so within the APC that there are some local government.
Yes, what I had, I think I had that of Papa And I think I learned yesterday that they've changed the candidates, the chairmanship candidate in Apapa. And the problem has to do, according to my information, that a top party man insisted that they wanted a particular candidate and not the present chairman. You understand? And he also had interest, and I think in Alimosha somewhere. So they have to do a trade-off that you have to pick one of the two. And I think he did a trade-off in Apapa, and they brought back the candidate, the original candidate people wanted. So that happens because, like Jide said, every politics is local. But the difference in this one is that even if you are not happy with the party, you are not in a position to do anything. Yes. Because the reality of local government election is that there is no election there. There is no election. I think they are just trying to fulfill all righteousness. There must be an election to bring in people every 4 years. It used to be 3 years, every 4 years now. And they have to comply with that provision. But if you say if you think that you can defeat the ruling party in a local government election, you are just deceiving yourself. Because it's not INEC that's organizing this one. It's LASEC. So for chairmanship, when you are a candidate of the party, you've won the election. There's nothing that can, because there's no party, and it's not only in Lagos, it is like that all over the country. No party wants to cede anything. So if you notice, when they do local government election in every state, the ruling party will take all the positions.
So, and once the governors win the election, maybe from opposition, you won the election, the first thing they are thinking of is to dissolve all the structures at local government level. They will now
want to put the...
It is what they do. The first thing, that's the first place that they go, they send them packing. Whether they were legally elected or not, they don't want to know. You know? And that's why some of us are pushing hard that there should be autonomy at local government level. I know that some people don't even want to hear it.
President Buhari gave them, in quotes, autonomy, but nobody agreed to it. Because the money, if you allow the funds to go to local government, a lot of states will be in trouble.
No, it's local government funds that many of them are using.
Yeah.
And when there is a local government chairman that is uncooperative, they will suspend him.
The House of Assembly will suspend
him. There's no local government when it comes to local government election. And apart from that, the way it is structured, people don't even campaign. In my own neighborhood, I know who is contesting as chairman because I could see his posters everywhere. But nobody had even campaign or do door to door or try to convince us why he should be the chairman. Because they know that they're just fulfilling righteousness.
This, we are talking about true federalism. Sometimes when we argue about federalism, that we are running a unitary system of government. But when it comes to some issues we deviate. A lot of people they've advocated before now that the state independent electoral commission should be scrapped and INEC should be allowed to conduct local government election. While you are talking about power devolving from the central, but a lot of people are saying that this present state independent electoral commission has been composed in most of the 36 states now, 35 states, that's just an apron string of the executive, and they are doing their bidding. That is just for another job for the boys. They cannot conduct credible election. What do you make of this argument?
They can conduct credible election if permitted to. We are saying two things now.
If permitted to.
Yeah, we are saying two things. Where a governor has absolute control over the SIEC in the state, and he feels embarrassed to see his candidate or the candidate of his party defeated by an opposition party, and then moves to embargo the release of the results. So it's not as if they cannot, because I've seen it happen. Someone thoroughly defeated. You knew that it happened in Kwara. It was even the beginning of the end.
I remember that case.
It didn't happen in Lagos.
It was the beginning of the end for Bukola Saraki. That was the first signal. The first signal that it could be trumped in the national elections. Because they were defeated even in his polling station. He was defeated by the PDP at that time. Then, outside of Ilorin, there were also cases. There was even the case of, I think in Kwara North, where PDP also won a chairmanship seat, and it led to violence, and people died. So, it is because usually when a governor sees that this result is not favorable to him, the next thing is to get them to not announce the result. I've seen situations in this country where a local government election, first day, second day, third day, they will not announce the result. So at that point, you knew that they were just looking for a way to announce the name of the person who had been well beaten. So it's not as if those guys can organize a credible election. No. But in many cases, these people would not allow the ruling party, and it's not limited to APC or even PDP. If ABGA is in position, ABGA will do that. It is just the tradition, and I support the idea of having INEC organize elections for them, since they have refused to cover themselves in glory. Let INEC come and do it for them. Even I remember Shomole, even after I became governor, it was one of the things that he suggested, one of the steps that he suggested that we should take. We can't continue like this. If we get it right at local government level, and the people are able to choose the people that they know will work for them wholeheartedly, we will begin to feel the impact of governance at local government level. And once we get security right at local government level, we will get other things right at local government level.
Okay, I have joining us the state chairman of the People's Democratic Party, that's the major opposition party, Mr. Deji Doherty. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, and good evening.
Thank you, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, we know that this local government...
How are you, my brother?
I need to tell you that I like your hat.
Yeah. I always like your talk. To come and have a little chat with you on this Hangout too.
Okay. You're invited, sir.
All right.
Thank you very much, and congratulations on your new program.
Thank you, sir.
So we're looking at Lagos local government election, and for you to, I asked you earlier, and you told me that yes, your party, the People's Democratic Party, will be participating. Now, for you to participate in Saturday's program, that means you have confidence about what is going to happen on Saturday, that you guys are going to contest and you guys are going to show strength.
You have started. Anyway, thank you very much for having me on your program. Like I've always said, the People's Democratic Party is rejigging itself in Lagos State today. And under this administration, which is just about 2 years old, we have been able to break some grounds. One is that for the first time in PDP, we have filled in 57 council chairmen that are able and ready and are really making a lot of impact in their various capacities in the various LCDs and LGAs. We are also fielding the largest number of women as the female gender in PDP and even in APC in Lagos State today. We have over 35% women that are being fielded on as far as deputy chairmen are concerned and councillors. And then I would like to say it again that in the past, a lot of things have happened in Lagos State as far as electioneering is concerned. And we will not say that we want to perform any magic on Saturday, or we are going to make some kind of major offsets or anything like that. Because like you said, and I've heard on your program today, you to have explained what the norm is with the ruling parties in various states and the political situation in the country when it comes to grassroots electioneering. Having said that, I believe that PDP would definitely produce a couple of councillors in our major strength areas, in major local government areas. I'm sure you all remember that we did have 8 members of the House of Assembly in 2015.
Yeah.
And we had 6 members of the House of Rep in 2015. You understand? Under the same APC government, and under the same ruling party. You understand? So we know that once we put our mind to it, we know that those that are sitting down at home, that are not coming out to vote, those are our votes, and we're going to concentrate on them. This is a trial case for us, where we have tried the Lagos East Senatorial District election. We've made our mistakes there. We are building on that. We know we are going to make a few mistakes on this one, but definitely we are going to definitely perform much better in this election than we've performed in past. We're going to perform much better in this election than we have performed in the past council elections. You understand? So
let me ask you to hold your thoughts there. Let's quickly take this commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion. Thank you for staying with us. So I'm still with the chairman of the People's Democratic Party in Lagos State, Mr. Deji Doherty. Thank you for still staying with us.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Mr. Doherty, you were explaining before we went on break, and I'm looking at the organizer of this election, and I've met you at several stakeholders meetings representing your party and everything with Justice Phillips. With what you've seen on ground, are you convinced that Saturday election, the level of preparation, are you satisfied?
Well, definitely we're not satisfied with what they are doing, as a matter of fact, because number one, the process by which the candidates have emerged and the guidelines that have been given vis-a-vis the timetable that LASEC had stipulated during the takeoff of this whole process has been eroded by the instability in the APC. And when you give guidelines, if you're an umpire and you give guidelines and you set dates and time frames for something, you understand, I believe we should live with it. Right here, right now, I have a letter that I'm sending to Justice Phillips concerning all this. You understand? Because, we come from the private sector, even though that we are politicians. But I believe she being a former CJ, and she being in the hands of affairs of LASEC, she should know all these things by now. That legally, if you have put guidelines in place for an election, then you follow the guidelines, or you call a stakeholders meeting again and change your guidelines. It's your prerogative. But when you change the guidelines or you change the time frame just because the APC are not ready for one reason or the other, you understand, then it becomes something that is questionable. It becomes something that it does not hold any kind of integrity anymore. You understand? So these are things that we have seen. We are still battling with some sense. And LASEC is being very, very evasive about quite a lot of issues. You understand? But having said that, we are still going to get ready to get on the field. and do what we know how to do best. And that is for us to ginger up our votes, to get our votes in. Now, I've also had a meeting with the British Commission, who are going to be observers also during the election on Saturday. And I've also mentioned my fears to them. You understand? We don't want a situation where the country as it is right now is just by the tip of a mountain. And Lagos State is the heartbeat of either peace or the stability in the country. And this kind of election is a grassroots election. These are where tempers are raised, tempers go haywire, and anything can happen. When we win a polling unit, the LASEC should announce that we have won, and our winning certificates should be what is transmitted to the collation center. That is where we are focusing on. Because I will tell you, the APC, everybody knows how they feel about the APC. I'm not going to get to your program and start campaigning about that, because it is general knowledge. It is something that everybody knows. You understand? But at the end of the day, blatant disregard for the rule of law, blatant disregard for any kind of one man, one vote idea will be met with a lot of resistance. Not by me. It's going to be met by, with a lot of resistance by those young chaps on ground. We are talking about guys between the age of 25 and 40 years old. Those guys don't have the kind of temperament we have. They don't have the kind of cushion or godliness or respect for elders and people.
Okay, Chairman. Chairman, you said that on Saturday you are going to come out. You said on Saturday you are going to come out to do what you do best. To many Nigerians and to Lagosians, you have a history of losing elections here. Many of them would think that what you do best is simply to lose elections in Lagos State. So how are we sure that this Saturday you are not simply going to do what you do best, which is to come second fiddle to the APC?
Well, you see, that is not something. I told you when I started this discussion, I said we're not going to perform magic. We're talking about being in opposition in a ruling party state. In Nigeria today, and so be it. You know, democratic rascalities that happen in the state. You understand? So what we know how to do best is to win elections. But we don't know how to kill. We don't know how to name. We don't know how to shed blood because we want to win elections. We don't know how to create chaos. We don't know how to say that the bloods of the goats and the sheep will be shed.
Chairman.
We don't know how to say that. Then the government will not be able to run. They will make it difficult for them to run their government if we lose. We don't have to do that.
Mr. Chairman, part of the problem
is I can hear you.
Part of the problem is that PDP as a party has not been able to organize itself properly. I acknowledge that when you came in, you have tried to rebrand the party, but the major problem with PDP in the state is that they will not be able to put their house in order. So it's so easy. That is why it is easy for APC to defeat them in several elections. So, and yes, I say an improvement, but I've not seen PDP as a strong party that can compete effectively on Saturday.
Yes, they're always defecting.
Well, I am not saying we're going to. We are building a party. I told you we're rebranding. We are re-strategizing the party. It's not a tea party. It's not something that happens in 1 year or 2 years. It's going to be a gradual process. The psychological position of most party members are being worked on right now, structures of the party. We are rebuilding the party. Remember, our Congress starts next week. You understand? And this coming Congress, you're going to see new people come up. You're going to see more interesting people come up. You're going not to say that those that have been there are not interesting people, but you're going to see a new brand and a new firebrand of people coming to the party. And then
All right. Mr. Chairman, I'm afraid we have to leave it there. I want to thank you especially for, granting us this audience despite the short notice. Thank you so much. Engineer Adedeji Dohati is the chairman of the People's Democratic Party in Lagos.
I like his honesty.
Yes,
he said they are not going to perform miracles.
That they are just building the party.
Yes, they are trying to build
it's
the
not
party.
saying they will win at all costs.
Yeah, it's not promising that they will win. And that's a very realistic
projection.
Yes, everyone can see that winning for APC is like salting the intestine of the porcupine. It's a waste of time. So it's not going to happen, and he has admitted it that they are not even expecting that to happen. So for a party that had been losing, that had been on a very long losing streak in Lagos State, and a party that its members are notorious for defecting to the same party that they want to defeat. This is very honest from the PDP chairman. We wish him Godspeed as he tries to rebuild
that party.
The party.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, and I also want to align with that. I consider that in some strongholds, especially Ojo, also the sort of Dokun, they're likely to have some councillors because they are very strong in those areas. But the chairmanship is way out of there. But he's rebranding the party. I hope he continues on the same track.
By this time Monday, maybe when the Lagos State the Independent National Electoral Commission would have announced, we'll now see who has done what.
What I see that usually happens with them is that their crisis usually reach its peak on the eve of an election.
It's always like that.
Yes. As an election is approaching, that's when you see them. They start fighting one another. They will have two chairmen.
Yes.
So that's not how to keep a party strong. You must put your house in order.
I've been covering Lagos PDP during the time of Muritala Shorobi, and at any point in time, to Alaba Williams, at any point in time, there's always
the major problem is that there have always been two tendencies.
Yes.
There's only been two tendencies, and both of them, the two groups. None wants to look at the larger goal of capturing power. So it's so easy for APC to now approach one of the groups, and then to suck them out of the group and bring them to APC, and that just started the problem.
With this one,
Demola Seriki, the serving minister under them, moving. So
and now
because of those two tendencies within the party.
A lot of the very big people in the party when the time passed, people like Dr. Finney, they are now very strong in the APC.
He's a GSC member. Dr. Finney is a GSC member in the APC. Very senior member.
This Baba Ogumbu Fumi or something.
Bashorun, Ikorodu.
Yes,
very strong.
He's now in the APC.
Yes.
So gradually, the key people in their party have been sucked out. I think it's only amongst that generation, perhaps, Bode George is the most prominent that is still left, and he doesn't have a history of winning elections. So it's just, we wish the APC, the PDP luck.
The best of luck. And, all right, moving on now. Hard times are here, and the downward slide in government revenue means the days ahead could be tougher. Statutory payments made by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, to the Federation accounts. A joint poll operated by the local and federal governments declined by more than 63% in the first 5 months of 2021, according to the data by the NNPC to the Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAC. The first 5 months of this year showed that out of 613.834 billion naira, the corporation was able to remit 225.852 billion naira. At this rate, the deficit may hit 820.6 billion naira by the end of the year. Jide, what is happening? We know most states survive on this handout from FAC. We know this is something that everybody runs to Abuja at the end of the month, and this is NNPC is the cash cow. Now NNPC is not playing ball again the way he should be playing ball. So they've witnessed a decline in what they're sharing within FAC the last 5 months.
It's not the first time that we are seeing even states refuse to take what is allocated to them. We've seen, because every month the finance commissioners of the states, they go to Abuja to attend the meeting where this distributable revenue is shared among the 3 tiers of government. We've had occasions when they simply said, no, we are not going to take this because NNPC didn't remit what it should remit. Right from the time of the former finance minister,
Okonjo-Iweala.
No, Kemi Adeosun. In fact, one of the big problems that Kemi Adeosun had was this issue of NNPC, because I remember her saying, look, it has reached a point that the president was personally intervened that NNPC was not up to speed with remittance to the federation account. At that point, I looked at her, I said, they will fight this woman. Knowing my country, I said they will fight this woman. All of the stories that we are now hearing later, people need to investigate. She made that point, that it has reached the point that the president must get involved. Remember, Yari as governor, as the chairman of governors, led the governors to walk out of a meeting to say, no, you are not remitting enough. And it's now made worse by the fact that the NNPC is shouldering the task of paying subsidy. Subsidy payments are now handled by NNPC when by law payment for subsidy should have been appropriated for by the National Assembly. NNPC simply, every month NNPC would take from crude oil sales, it will just net off what should...
Nobody can independently verify
what they think is meant for subsidy payments. They will now call it this ridiculous name, under recovery, because they don't want Nigerians to still think that subsidy regime. Now, all of the tomfoolery about subsidy, oh, we are no longer in subsidy regime, it has blown up in people's faces now.
We now know.
With Mele Kyari, the NNPC GMD, consistently reminding us that this is not sustainable. That, in fact, according to him, the last time that I was speaking about this matter, I was saying, see, if things continue like this, if subsidy is removed, Nigerians could be paying as much as 256 naira per litre. Because we subsidized as at March. We were subsidizing petrol by as much as 120 billion a month. Mele Kyari said that. So each time petrol price goes, oil price goes up in the international market, we are supposed to be happy. Like when it went to 74, 77, we are supposed to be happy because our country will earn more. But it also means that subsidy payments will be higher, especially now that we are told that we are consuming 93 million liters a day. Later on, I got to know that it's now 103 million liters a day. I say, how?
It's not possible.
How? Now they will now say, oh, it is smuggling. People are smuggling the product. What is the level of smuggling? That from around 2015, it was still in the region of 27 to 30 million liters. And then it's going above 100 million liters. Now,
skyrocketed.
So are we saying that right now, the volume of product smuggled is several times more than what it used to be during the Jonathan era or during the Obasanjo era. I mean, there are questions. I'm not saying that, oh, subsidy payments should continue for the foreseeable future. I know that at some point it has to stop because it doesn't look sustainable. And by the time PIB gets on stream, it may be inevitable that will allow market forces to determine the price of petrol. But NNPC, the burden is already choking NNPC. That is why they can't fulfill their obligations to the Federation account.
Muyo, what do you make of this situation?
My own take is that it is the president that is responsible for this mess that we have found ourselves. Because he's the Minister for Petroleum Resources. He put that under his purview so that he'll be able to do effective supervision, but he's not doing that. Because NNPC has now become power on itself. Because what they are supposed, by law, it is not their duty to take part of that money. They are supposed, because they are agents of government collecting that money on behalf of government. So they are supposed to transfer that money to the Federation account. But they have decided on their own to say, okay, these are other expenses that we are doing, which has to do with subsidy. So they are removing whatever they like. And that makes it easy for people to do fraud in that place. There's a cabal in NNPC who enjoys fuel importation because it's so easy for them. Before, a lot of people used to import fuel. Now it's only NNPC that brings in fuel.
No, there's still a few.
You understand? And so, and
a
when
few of their friends are still bringing
so when, but the bulk of it is NNPC. Yes.
Okay.
So, and when you look at that scam, so it's so easy because when anybody tells you that, oh, it is over 100 million liters that you consume every day, you are not in a position to even verify what they have said.
No, there's no way of verifying.
Yes, you cannot verify.
Because for me, it's difficult to believe that story. If you are saying, oh, then where are they shipping this thing to? Is it Cameroon, Niger, or Benin Republic?
Even in those places, they cannot use the volume of that
I'm saying that even in Niger Republic, the rate in Kano alone, the number of cars in Kano will be higher than what they have in Niger Republic.
Yeah, absolutely.
As big in terms of land mass as the country is. What is the GDP of Niger, for example?
And there was a time Mr. President said filling stations very close to the border should not.
That time, so we locked the borders for almost 2 years. We locked the borders for a long time now. It is now clear that we can no longer even use closure of borders to intimidate our neighbors anymore. In the past, Obasanjo, how long did Obasanjo lock the border before they brought Tijani Amani here, who was stealing people's vehicles?
Yeah.
You know, he stole the vehicle of a Nigerian senator. So, but today, we locked the border for over a year, and our neighbors, they coped. Our neighbors like Benin Republic that used to beg, they coped. So it's difficult to believe that the volume of smuggling could be that high. But now, if your own what you are supposed to remit,
okay, we still have a caller.
Is short by 387 billion.
Okay.
I mean, it's high.
Okay, we have Case Andrew from Owerri.
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Good evening.
You see, God bless you. I appreciate your take on this. It is very sincere and blunt. You see, Nigerians are not really asking for too much. A situation where the God-given resources endowed on this country are now very difficult for citizens to access. So, few persons that are infinitesimal in number are now making Nigeria so uncomfortable, making it so unbearable for the people. You see, the greatest problem we're having, like the other man said, is irresponsibility of government not to take responsibility. Mr. President, to take this whole play. And his tenure is coming.
Thank you, Case Andrew, for your
So as I was saying,
yeah,
what they were supposed to remit in those 5 months was short by 387 billion. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. There were months when we didn't share the whole country.
Yes.
They didn't share more than 380 something billion. So this is what they remitted 225 billion 825 instead of 613 834 billion. So look at the difference.
And the effect
difference
of
of 387.
Yes, and the effect of that is that it will affect governance in states.
Yes,
It will affect governance in local governments.
Yes. Now,
Because a lot of them will not have resources to even do basic things. That's what it means.
Of income. If anything goes wrong with NNPC, if they are incapacitated to give us half of this in any given month.
No, of course, everyone knows that oil is our main income earner as a country. So it's still there. We are still a major player in the world oil market. So the point is, they will have been able to do better than this, if not for the burden of subsidy that they put on themselves. And if we tally what we are paying as subsidy in the last 6 years, you will see that it's extremely high, because for them to tell us now that this thing has now exceeded 100 billion, people should be worried.
For the issue of subsidy,
100 million liters a day.
My own take on the issue of subsidy is that you cannot spend the money that you don't have. The problem with Nigeria is that we still see ourselves as a rich country. Nigeria is a struggling country financially. We have to accept that reality.
No, the way we are borrowing money up and down.
Because we just think that we are just deceiving ourselves. Because if you borrow money to do everything, you deceive yourself that you have that money. We have to face the reality that we must remove petroleum subsidy. Because one of the reasons why we need to remove that petroleum subsidy
to enrich people.
Yes, we are just using it to enrich people. Some fat cats in NNPC and their cores are just stealing a lot of money, telling us that they are doing subsidy. It's a scam, and that is why if Dangote's petroleum refinery, when it comes on stream, you will see that cabal will lose the chunk of money that they've been making. It's just the same thing like they will be turnaround maintenance that they used to do in the refineries.
Okay,
that's a scam.
I have our last caller. Inni is calling us from Abuja. Thank you for staying with us.
Good evening, Mr. Babajide.
Yes.
Good evening, Mr. The other man on right.
Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, yes. The issue of this PDP election that you guys just talked, we pray that it will be free and fair election come on Saturday, and there should not be bloodshed. Thank you. I enjoy your program.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So they are already projecting that if this trend continues, by the end of the year, we'll be talking of about 820 billion short from their projected disbursement level of 1.088 trillion. So in January, they disbursed 195 billion, February 191, March 222, because the oil price went up. Oil price went up in March. April 156, May 320 billion. So you can see that it has not been really consistent in terms of remittance, and that problem has been there for long. If you go back, you check, you see many times it is NNPC that they complain about. They don't complain about customs.
But customs like bring that. Money. NNPC just decide that this is how much we're going to give.
And sometimes when they have
the president is the minister.
When they have that complaint, then they will come back. They will come back. Those issues will be resolved, and then they will take the money. So attention has to be focused on what goes on in NNPC. I know that ultimately we will have to do something about
the last take for this.
My last take is that the president should do his job as the Minister of Petroleum Resources. He deliberately, as the president, decided that he wants to pretend over that ministry, and that is the supervising ministry to NNPC. So the president is the president's under his watch. Things are going on in NNPC that shouldn't be so.
Yes.
The law says that they should transfer money to Federation account, and that is what they should do.
The law didn't say they should take out.
It is not their duty to be taking money and deciding how much they are going to send to the Federation account.
Mayor Akikwedu, welcome back. Thank you for coming today. Thank you. And BQ, we started preparation for Sunday edition of Journalist Hangout, and today is always cooking in from Thursday. So we invite our viewers that Sunday is going to be grind again. Now, and that's offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. And don't forget to join us on Sunday for Journalist Hangout, 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. Bye for now, and God bless you.